This is the RPINT E500 electric bike, and I've been riding it across paved streets, packed gravel, and a couple of sandy paths to see what it really does. In this video, I'm going to keep it simple and tell you how it feels, what actually matches the listing, and what didn't line up in my real use. Key features that matter to me are the removable 48-volt 18-amp-hour battery, a claimed 1,000-watt peak rear hub motor, 20x4-inch fat tires, a 7-speed drivetrain, dual disc brakes, and an LCD with 3 assist levels plus throttle. On paper, that's a strong all-terrain setup with enough battery to take longer rides without stressing about a charge. From my experience, the motor is the headline. Power comes on smoothly and there's plenty of torque off the line. I prefer starting in a lower assist level because past 3 can feel jumpy in tight spots. On open roads, it builds speed confidently. Throttle-only cruising sits in the mid-20s mph on flat ground for me, and with light pedaling, I saw just about 28-30 miles per hour on the display. I never hit the 40 miles per hour some ads claim, and I wouldn't plan on that as a realistic number for a fat tire e-bike with mechanical brakes. Keep in mind, top speed depends on rider weight, wind, gradient, and how the controller is tuned. My unit felt tuned for steady push rather than wild bursts, which is safer for new riders. Climbing performance is solid. Short, punchy hills didn't faze it, and on longer grades it held speed better than most budget e-bikes I've tried. The 35-degree slope claim in the listing reads optimistic to me. Think steep neighborhood hills rather than ski resort service roads. Still, this motor's torque is the reason you buy this bike. It hauls. The battery is the next big talking point. It's labeled 48-volt 18 Ah, which works out to about 864 watt-hours. That's a healthy size for this class. I ran several mixed rides using a blend of pass and throttle. With my 190-pound weight and cool late summer temps, I got around 28 to 35 miles when I kept speeds in the 15 to 20 miles per hour range and pedaled on flats. Hammering throttle at high speed cuts that to the high teens or low 20s. That matches what I expect from an 864 watt-hour pack pushing a heavy bike with fat tires. Charging time with the included charger was a little over 5 hours from nearly empty, which lines up with the spec. The battery is removable, and that's crucial. I pop it out and charge it indoors rather than drag the whole bike to an outlet. Also, the listing mentions UL 2849. In my opinion, that's one of the most important boxes to check on any e-bike today because it covers safety for the full electrical system, not just the battery. Let me talk about the ride feel. The E500 is heavy. My scale put it a little over 80 pounds with the battery and fenders installed. That heft gives it a very planted feel at speed. Crosswinds don't rattle it, and the fat tires smooth out small cracks and gravel chatter. The flip side is low-speed handling. It takes more body input to steer in a tight space, and lifting the front wheel up a curb or carrying it upstairs is a workout. If you live in an upstairs apartment, this will get old fast. Suspension on my unit is a front suspension fork only. I didn't find a rear shock. The back relies on the big tires and the saddle to soak up bumps. That's fine for city streets, bike paths, and light trails. On rocky or rooty sections, you'll feel the hits through the frame, but the tires and fork tame a lot of the chatter. I'd set tire pressure on the lower end of the recommended range for trail days and add a touch more air for pavement to keep rolling resistance reasonable. Brakes on my bike are mechanical disc brakes front and rear. They stop the bike, but they need a firm pull and occasional cable tweaks to keep them biting well. If you're new to bikes, mechanical disc means the brakes are cable operated rather than hydraulic. Hydraulic brakes feel smoother and stronger with less hand effort, but mechanicals are easier to adjust yourself. I'd bed in the pads properly and check them every few rides, especially if you're doing long descents. Gearing is a basic 7-speed setup with an integrated shifter. It's enough to help the motor on steep climbs or let you spin comfortably at 18 to 22 miles per hour. Past that, you're mostly along for the ride while the motor does the heavy lifting. I did a quick derailleur tune out of the box to clean up shifts into the highest gear. That's normal for bikes shipped direct. The display is simple and readable in daylight. 3 assist levels worked, though I wouldn't mind 5 for finer control at mid-speeds. The headlight is bright enough for being seen and rolling back home at dusk, but for true night rides, I'd add a brighter bar light. The saddle is better than I expected for a faux leather piece. Firm, but supportive for an hour or two. Fenders are plastic. They're fine for puddle spray. I did hear a light rattle from the kickstand over rough patches, which is common on heavier e-bikes. A small wedge or thread locker on mounting bolts usually fixes that. There are a few spec quirks worth calling out, so you're not surprised. Some listings say front and rear suspension, but mine only has a front fork. I've also seen wheel material carbon, and I can say these rims are aluminum, not carbon. Brake style is called caliper in one place and dual disc in another. What I have is dual mechanical disc. None of these were deal breakers for me, but they show the documentation isn't perfectly consistent across retailers. That's typical for white label bikes built by a large manufacturer and sold under different brand names. In my opinion, the main pieces that truly define the experience here are the motor, battery, tires, and weight, and those lined up with how the bike rides. On sizing and fit, I'm 5'10" and felt comfortable after raising the seat and rolling the bars back a touch. The listed rider range of about 5'4" to 6'2" seems reasonable. The stated 300-pound weight limit is generous for this bracket, and the frame feels stout. It's high carbon steel, and that's part of why it's heavy but durable. It's perfect for riders who want a moped-like feel without registering a scooter, who ride mixed surfaces, and who care more about stability and range than featherweight handling. If you have a garage or ground floor storage, commute a handful of miles each way, and like weekend excursions on paths and light trails, this fits that use. From my experience, it also works as a car replacement for quick errands because the throttle makes short trips effortless. I'd recommend this for someone comfortable with a heavier bike and a strong motor, ideally a rider who has tried an e-bike before and knows they prefer the fat tire vibe. If you need to carry your bike upstairs, load it on a car rack by yourself often, or you want a nimble, flickable city bike, this isn't that. A lighter mid-drive or a slim commuter would make you happier. A quick note on speed and rules for anyone new. In many places, an e-bike that exceeds 28 miles per hour or uses a throttle above certain speeds may be restricted. If your unit arrives unlocked, consider setting speed limits in the display to keep it legal where you ride. That also extends range and eases wear on brakes and drivetrain. In my opinion, the RPINT E500 delivers what matters most in this category: confident torque, a legitimately large battery, and a stable, comfortable ride over imperfect surfaces. It isn't the most refined package, and the weight is real, but the core ride is fun and capable. If you set realistic expectations about speed and plan for the heft, it's a strong value for mixed-use riders. In conclusion, the RPINT E500 electric bike feels like a small, friendly powerhouse. It climbs well, cruises comfortably, and the removable battery keeps charging simple. The documentation, quirks, and mechanical brakes are areas to be aware of, but the fundamentals are solid. I'm keeping mine set up with a brighter headlight and a small suspension seat post to smooth the back end, and that combo turns it into a go-anywhere daily rider for me. Check the comments of this video for a link to see the current pricing of the RPINT E500 electric bike.